Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Oscars Were Wrong, Episode 3. We are talking about the 2018-2019 award season for 2018 films. This was the Green Book year, which I think, as we'll find out, Thomas and I have very different opinions on.
We do indeed.
This movie. I was hopeful that as we each rewatched through all these films, that maybe we'd see a change of heart. But Thomas and I, we agree on a lot of stuff. I'm sure you were hoping I would change on a couple of my sins. We're gonna be disagreeing a lot on the past couple of.
You got one. You got one of them that has changed.
And I liked one of yours a bit better. That you. But yeah. Like the past couple episodes, if you've seen them, 2020, 2019, we were pretty much in unison. We agreed for the most part on almost everything. Even some hot takes, like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood being bad. Like we agree on quite a bit. And I would say in general we agree on film quite a bit. But there comes, there's a couple here and there that spark a divide. So this year in general. But to be honest, this is not a good year for movies.
No. Like, I think the top three of each of the past years are better than anything here.
Yeah, agreed.
So from 2020 and 2019. Yeah, because there's no real standout. Like, even while I will be arguing it's technically the number one of this year, it's like an 8 out of 10 film. It's good, but it's not brilliant. There is no standout, and there are also a fair few quite weak ones thrown in the mix as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. No, for sure. And even like outside, like, and we'll get to like, I think there's definitely a couple. There's two movies in particular that I think are pretty like near perfect movies, that are all-time great movies that I think are like in both of our top 50s of all time. Both of them that should have been between those two movies to win Best Picture.
Yeah.
But like even outside of those, like there wasn't any. I don't know. 2018 was just kind of a bad year for movies.
It was.
So, like, honestly, I think that we could make up from just the first, 5 to 6 months of June. We could make up a better Best Picture lineup than this for the entirety of 2018.
We could well do. We'd have definitely a couple that would be a lot more deserving as Best Picture than
with 8, especially if we only have to do 8 noms. Like, I could 100%. Like, I mean, just rattling them off: Top Gun, The Northman. Like Everything Everywhere, Petite Maman, After Yang. Like I don't know. I feel like you could like just those 5.
Yeah, you'd have maybe a couple of like weaker ones in there, but like they would still be probably on the same quality as a lot of this year. Anyway, so yeah.
Anyway, we've just been dunking on 2018, but let's get into let's get into the actual awards season. Kicking off with the Golden Globes. What was happening? So in musical and comedy. We had Green Book win, which I think was fairly expected at this point. Maybe it could have been Vice or The Favorite, but this was like it was like, okay, maybe this is a Globe film, a Globe thing. The Favorite and Vice also there. Also, Crazy Rich Asians somehow got in, which is a bad movie. Like it's cool seeing the representation, but like it's not a good movie. And then Mary Poppins also randomly got in. This was the year that like, and Emily Blunt, like, she was getting hyped, and then she also, and we'll get to this in a second, but like she won the SAG for A Quiet Place.
Okay.
Which wasn't even nominated for. I think they were the only place that nominated her for that, and she was double nominated in supporting and lead for Mary Poppins and A Quiet Place, and they gave her the win for A Quiet Place. So
I mean, she was good in A Quiet Place, but she wasn't Oscars good.
Right, because I think they snubbed Regina King for If Beale Street Could Talk.
Okay.
So it was just a weird year. But yeah. Glenn Close took actress in drama, and it was, Lady Gaga was kind of expected to take it. Olivia Colman ended up taking musical or comedy. Should have been Elsie Fisher.
But what can you do?
I don't know if that was saying.
Okay.
But yeah, no, like Elsie Fisher really. I don't know. She was great. We were talking about child acting performances before, and like that's one that's incredibly deserving, I think.
Yeah.
Also want to throw a shout out to Nicole Kidman in Destroyer, picking up a nomination. Destroyer, the director of this masterpiece, Jennifer's Body. Everybody wants it. But yeah, it's just a wild year. Because because like in drama actor we had Rami Malek in Bohemian Rhapsody. I don't know how that wasn't in comedy or musical, but whatever.
I mean, it's a debatable one. Yeah.
Because also Bradley Cooper was in drama for A Star Is Born. Also kind of weird.
Yeah, that is definitely more of a musical than Bohemian Rhapsody is.
Yeah, for sure. Willem Dafoe, Lucas Hedges. Willem Dafoe is a great nomination actually for At Eternity's Gate. It's a very fun nom. Lin-Manuel Miranda, for some reason, got nominated for Best Actor, comedy musical. But
okay, yeah, no.
But Christian Bale did end up winning for Vice, which I'm perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Adam Driver should have been sweeping supporting actor, and instead we got Mahershala Ali, which is whatever.
Yeah,
should have been Adam Driver. Alfonso Cuarón taking director for Roma. Roma wasn't eligible for Best Picture, so Best Picture drama, Bohemian Rhapsody won, which is kind of
yeah. I mean, it's the Golden Globes, so
yeah, it beat out Black Panther, Black Klansman, If Beale Street Could Talk, and A Star Is Born. Would like to see If Beale Street Could Talk or Black Klansman, but what can you do? I honestly feel like Black Panther would make even more sense for the Globes, but
yeah. But I guess since the Globes were first, probably they didn't really know to buy into the Black Panther hype yet or not.
I guess. Yeah. And Green Book won screenplay over Roma and The Favorite, which is I mean, kind of wild.
Yeah.
Makes sense for the Globes, but all right, Critics' Choice. Once again, another place where Crazy Rich Asians did very well, and I don't know why, but whatever. But their nominees. So Roma took picture, as it should. I'll just say. Well, I'm very excited to get into these conversations later. But the other nominees: Black Panther, Black Klansman, The Favorite, First Man, Green Book, If Beale Street Could Talk, Mary Poppins, A Star Is Born, and Vice. So they didn't go with Bohemian Rhapsody.
No,
thank God. They actually did the critics thing. They didn't do the thing where they critics hate being the Ricardos, but then we'll still nominate it over Drive My Car.
Yeah.
It has the other 7 eventual nominees in, and it just adds in Mary Poppins, If Beale Street Could Talk, and First Man. Which I don't know, I don't think that they're great, but I still think that If Beale Street Could Talk and First Man would have both been deserving.
I think given what we got, yes, probably. I haven't seen If Beale Street Could Talk, but yeah, I think First Man would have been deserving. I still think in any other year it would have been a weak nominee though.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think it's undeniably Damien Chazelle's weakest.
Yeah, 100%.
There's really no argument. But elsewhere, Christian Bale took actor, which he should have. Actress was a tie between Glenn Close and Lady Gaga, which is wild. Still no Olivia Colman. And they did nominate Toni Collette, thank God.
Yes.
Only place to do so. Supporting actress went to Regina King again. Still crazy that SAG snubbed her. And then supporting actor went to Mahershala Ali, who was sweeping, and again, it should have been Adam Driver. They also did Michael B. Jordan and Black Panther in supporting, which is kind of wild looking back on it.
Okay, for Critics' Choice, really? I mean, he was good in the film, but yeah, again, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, these acting ensemble nominations are wild for Critics' Choice. I was just looking at them. So it's The Favorite one, which I think I'm perfectly okay with. But the other nominations: Black Panther, Crazy Rich Asians, Vice, and Widows.
I mean, I get why Black Panther and Crazy Rich Asians are there. I get that. Widows? Really?
Yeah. I get Vice as well. If you're giving Christian Bale actor, you're nominating Sam Rockwell and Amy Adams. But Widows? And also Crazy Rich Asians isn't the performances in Black Panther and Crazy Rich Asians. I get for representation purposes having an all Asian cast, all black cast, but the performances aren't that good.
No, I know. Yeah, and when I say I get, I get it in terms of that's clearly a move to make. It's clearly a statement rather than actually going for the performances themselves. But that's an interesting lineup. I wouldn't put Widows in there.
Yeah, for sure. Elsie Fisher won Young Actress, as she should.
Good, as she should.
Okay, listen to these original screenplay and adapted screenplay winners and noms. These are crazy. Okay. So in original screenplay, our nominees: 8th Grade, Bo Burnham.
Yes.
Our boy. Roma. It was okay. We get the 3 that you want. Roma, The Favorite, and Vice. But then Green Book, and then they threw in A Quiet Place. And winning is First Reformed, which I think is actually a very good pick.
Okay, that is an interesting lineup. For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not missing anything, but you're just throwing in a couple of fun ones there, I guess.
Yeah, with 8th Grade and for A Quiet Place, First Reformed winning. I mean, it's crazy that First Reformed didn't get a picture nom yet, a picture or director, but one screenplay. That feels like a Coda thing. It just got enough to nominate it, and then people actually saw it after it was nominated. Adapted screenplay. Our nominees: Black Panther, Can You Ever Forgive Me, which also would have been another solid pick. Like, I guess there were some decent films.
Yeah, still nothing really that stood out
No,
except for
I
the
don't think
two that, except
2018
for
was like,
obviously Eighth Grade and Hereditary. But
yeah,
yeah,
which we were referencing, yeah. But like 2018, very severely lacking in like 5-star films.
yeah.
The only two that I have currently are Hereditary, great, and then also Spider-Verse. I have at 5 stars, but like,
Okay.
A Star Is Born was an adapted screenplay, First Man, and then Black Klansman, and then If Beale Street Could Talk won, Barry Jenkins. So yeah, but I know it felt like Critics' Choice actually did the criticky things, which is fun.
Yeah,
But
which is
so far,
what it's their job. Yes, their
yeah.
job is to be the critic's choice. But yeah.
So PGA was kind of wild. So they went with Green Book. So now Green Book has 2. Bohemian Rhapsody 1, and then Roma 1. This was a wild Best Picture race. We would have been freaking out.
Yeah.
But the other nominees here: Black Panther, Black Klansman, Bohemian Rhapsody. So those all. Then Crazy Rich Asians got in the picture again.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Like, I mean, would Crazy Rich Asians have been a 9? Like, I'd say if Beale Street Could Talk would have been a 9, but if there was a strict 10, would Crazy Rich Asians have got in?
First Man, I think, and Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah, probably, which is crazy. Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah.
The Favorite got in, and then A Quiet Place got in. Also wild.
Yeah.
And then Roma, A Star Is Born, and Vice. So they still got in like all of the 8, but Crazy Rich Asians in A Quiet Place.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Maybe even A Quiet Place would have been in contention as well.
Yeah, and no First Man there too, which is kind of weird. But yeah, so that went to Roma, and director, the DGA. They went with Cuarón, which Cuarón was sweeping.
Yeah,
I think deservedly so, at least in my opinion. But yeah, Bradley Cooper picking up all the nominations, ended up missing out on the Oscar.
Yeah, I know. So I would have happily seen Bradley Cooper in there.
Bo Burnham won first time director, which I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Not complaining with at all.
No.
Okay, SAG. SAG was kind of crazy. So here we saw Rami Malek kind of assert his authority over Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Then Glenn Close again with The Wife.
Yeah.
You know how that's going to turn out. Yeah, so Emily Blunt getting double nominated for Mary Poppins and A Quiet Place, winning supporting actress because they snubbed Regina King, who won everywhere else.
Yeah.
For If Beale Street Could Talk. Just still crazy. Also, Margot Robbie randomly getting in for Mary, Queen of Scots and supporting.
Okay.
Melissa McCarthy sneaking into Can You Ever Forgive Me for lead. Again, Ursula, and then like Timothy Chalamet getting in, Adam Driver, Sam Elliott, all the same supporting. Ensemble went to Black Panther.
Okay, it's a big ensemble, and it's a pretty decent ensemble. I wouldn't give it best ensemble though.
But on these ensemble, how is The Favorite not nominated for ensemble? That's wild to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because like they nominated Coleman, Stone, and Weiss.
Okay, then you would think that for ensemble.
Yet they nominated no actors from Crazy Rich Asians, but that got into ensemble.
Yeah, again. Okay.
Bohemian Rhapsody also there, I guess, just off of Rami Malek.
Yeah.
Black Klansman there, which I think is a deserving ensemble in all honesty.
Yeah.
I think it's a very good ensemble. A Star Is Born, which sure. And then but Black Panther taking it, winning both ensemble awards. These stunt ensemble nominations: Black Panther, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Avengers: Infinity War, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, and Mission Impossible: Fallout.
Okay.
No Quiet Place. Interesting. Yeah, you give.
No, I guess maybe it's definitely more subtle a film in terms of action set pieces and stuff like that. So I can see why I missed out.
Yeah. WGA. This was the iconic 8th grade win in original screenplay. Still my favorite acceptance speech of all time. Bo Burnham goes up. Have fun at the Oscars, losers. So great. Beating out Green Book. A Quiet Place again with a screenplay nom.
Yeah.
I think A Quiet Place was dangerously close to getting into screenplay supporting actors for Emily Blunt and picture.
Yeah, definitely.
Like A Quiet Place was dangerously close. But yeah, Green Book, A Quiet Place, Roma, and Vice. It beat out. Was it? What else was missing from there in original? With 8th grade and A Quiet Place. Oh, The Favorite and First Reformed.
Okay, yeah.
Wow, WJ didn't even go for The Favorite. Oh, well, it probably wasn't eligible.
Oh, yeah. I guess it might not have been.
WJ has a weird rule. Yeah. All right. Adapted screenplay went to Can You Ever Forgive Me? Another solid pick.
Okay.
But yeah, beating out A Star Is Born, If Beale Street Could Talk, Black Klansman, Black Panther. At least it wasn't Bohemian Rhapsody.
No, yes.
That would have been a really sketchy pick for screenplay. Like the Oscars didn't even go for it, but it was definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
Definitely there. Last one to look at, BAFTAs. Roma won. The last day of happiness.
Yeah. I mean, if it was, it would be between Roma and Green Book on the day, and I don't know what I would have chosen, to be honest. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Like, it would have been very close.
Because Green Book would have PGA and Globe. Roma would have BAFTA and Critics' Choice.
Yeah.
And then Bohemian Rhapsody also there with a Globe.
Yeah.
Which I think Bohemian Rhapsody was still a possibility on Oscars night. So
yeah, I mean, it could have been. Well, imagine that. Imagine if Bohemian Rhapsody had won Best Picture. That would have been something.
I think I would have cried.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Black Klansman, the favorite, Roma and A Star Is Born were the other noms. Okay. So this is kind of where the trend started. BAFTA predicting Powell Pawlikowski getting in for Cold War, which that movie should have been nominated for Best Picture. I don't think you've seen it, right? I
haven't seen it, no.
It's very good. I would also highly suggest Ida, also from him, which I think is even better. Like, he's a really great director. It really should have gotten in, but hey, they predicted the director nom.
They did.
They also did Spike Lee for director. Like, it's all director lineup. Spike Lee, Yorgos, Powell, Bradley Cooper, and then they did Coram. So
okay, so actually very similar to the actual Best Director, except McKay was swapped out for Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, BAFTA's great with director. Like, they predicted the Villeneuve even this year. Like, Best Actor at BAFTA did go to Remy, Bohemian Rhapsody. Steve Coogan somehow got in for Stan.
For what?
Stan and Ollie.
Oh, yeah, I get it's okay.
John C. Reilly also got in, I think, at Golden Globe. So
right, yeah.
Rachel Weisz ended up taking supporting actress at BAFTA, which is kind of fun.
Yeah,
I think she was great. Also, once again, Margot Robbie randomly getting in. Also seen some Claire Foy love here and there for First Man. But yeah, Olivia Colman. Right here. Glenn Close, First Loss. Lady Gaga, it wasn't happening. Also, they nominated Viola Davis in Widows. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, I don't know where the love for Widows came from.
It's not a good
film. No.
I don't know. It's not great. Again, Timothy Chalamet, so sad. Ended up missing out. This is also, like, I feel like Sam Rockwell's, like, first nomination here. I don't think he got anything else, did he?
No. I don't know. No, maybe the BAFTAs are just very good at calling these things.
Great at acting nominations.
Yeah.
So yeah, but original screenplay went to The Favorite. Also there was Cold War, which is great. Green Book, Roma, and Vice. Adapted, Black Klansman, also there. Can You Ever Forgive Me? First Man, If Beale Street Could Talk, A Star Is Born. It's like BAFTA had some solid lineups. But let's get to the Oscars. So the Oscars, of course, their Best Picture lineup: Black Panther, Black Klansman, Bohemian Rhapsody, The Favorite, Green Book, Roma, A Star Is Born, Vice. Missing, If Beale Street Could Talk, I guess you could say First Man, Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah.
A Quiet Place. So yeah, I'm curious. I actually want to pull up Gold Derby for that year. This is maybe something that we could continue to do in the future. But yeah. So I'm curious, what were some of your biggest snubs of the year?
So I mean, there are only two in my eyes that should have happened, and they are Hereditary and Eighth Grade. As we mentioned, they are two of my favorite films of the past decade of all time. Like, they are just two very, very good films. They are better than anything in the lineup. And yeah, it's a crime that they weren't nominated. Were they nominated for anything, either of them? I don't believe they were.
At the Oscars, no.
Yeah, no. So 0 nominations. How do those films walk away with 0?
For the two best movies of the year.
Yeah, like all I really wanted was, like, Toni Collette, an actress, 8th Grade, and screenplay. I would have taken that at the bare minimum. Like, just one nomination for each film, but no, it was not meant to be. Which is, it's a shame.
Yeah, I don't know, like, and it was just like Toni Collette, like, happened even less. It was only Critics' Choice that ended up going for Toni and actress. And, like, 8th Grade happened some places. 8th Grade, I mean, it won WGA, and it got into, I think, Critics' Choice for screenplay. You know, Elsie Fisher got into actress at the Globes. But, like, yeah. So this is interesting with Gold Derby. So Bohemian Rhapsody was actually the 9 to get in.
Okay.
Beale Street Could Talk was actually the 8. And then after that, the 10 was First Man. And then it was Mary Poppins, Crazy Rich Asians, A Quiet Place, But the only ones above 100 to 1 odds were Crazy Rich Asians, Mary Poppins, First Man, and If Beale Street Could Talk.
Okay. Well, Mary Poppins, really? People.
Yeah, Mary Poppins was the 11.
Okay.
But still, how many nominations did that end up getting?
Not
It got
entirely sure.
a couple. It got 4: costumes, production design, song, and score.
Yeah, it's not terrible. Not terrible.
Yeah, like sure, I guess. But yeah. So then director, the infamous Bradley Cooper snub.
Yeah.
He did get into actor though, Willem Dafoe getting in, but Rami Malek winning there. So a big surprise for actress nomination was Yalitza Aparicio getting in for Roma, which I'm very good for. Also for Roma, Marina de Treviera for Roma as well. 2 fun nominations, I think. Not hating that at all. Regina King ended up winning for If Beale Street Could Talk despite her SAG snub. I was hoping we could get the same thing with Kristen Stewart last year, but whatever. Mahershala taking supporting actor, even though it should have been Adam Driver. Sam Rockwell randomly getting in. He already won for Moonlight, and okay.
I know. Yeah, he maybe didn't need to win. Adam Driver probably needed to win a bit more, but I don't mind Mahershala Ali winning there.
I mean, he's the only good part about the movie. So
well, we'll debate this.
It's make a Top Gun Maverick. It's a nice moment. Don't ruin it. We can hold off for now. But Alfonso Cuarón taking director, which I think is very deserved. Spider-Verse took animated feature. Roma, of course, took foreign language film. Would have been wild if it didn't. Shoplifters getting a fun nomination from Hirokazu Koreeda. We might see him pop up again this year. Who knows?
We may.
Original screenplay went to Green Book.
Yeah, which again, we'll debate.
Which The Favorite was right there. It's right there, which is maybe one of the best screenplays of the last decade.
Okay.
You're the one arguing for Green Book here. So.
Yes, no, I mean, but like best of the decade, I wouldn't go that far. Like it's a good screenplay favorite, but again, why is 8th grade not there? Like why?
Oh no, agreed. 8th grade should be winning this, but First Reform did make it in, which is fun. Vice, and I am a Vice defender. The screenplay isn't the best.
No. I don't think it'd be nowhere near that category.
But I think directing is absolutely deserved. I think picture is absolutely deserved, and I think Christian Bale should have won actor. So
again, I think we'll discuss this.
Yeah. I also am happy that Emma Stone did get nominated for The Favorite because they could have just gone for Rachel Weisz, but because I think Weisz is the more flashier of the 2 performances.
Yeah, but I think you should go for both of them. Agreed.
Adapted screenplay, Spike Lee gets this moment. We're all happy. Clap, clap, clap. The Ballad of Buster Scruggs also getting a surprise nomination for the Coen Brothers, which sure, I guess. What else were you going to nominate?
I guess, if you want to share around the love. And I mean, it's better than having Bohemian Rhapsody in there, so.
Right, Can You Ever Forgive Me, If Beale Street Could Talk, and A Star Is Born? Sure, whatever. I guess. I would love to see First Man, maybe, but at least over Ballad of Buster Scruggs, which I think is just fine. But yeah, Spider-Verse taking in feature. Black Panther took score, which I think is deserved.
Probably.
Shallow from A Star Is Born. I don't know how that wasn't going to win.
No.
Out of the nominations, my favorite would be All the Stars from Black Panther. But
my favorite would be Shallow. But I don't even think that's the best song from the film. I would personally prefer Maybe It's Time. I think that is a better song than Shallow. Like Shallow is a more flashy song, but I think Maybe It's Time is one that has a bit more to say.
More memorable song. Yeah. Also, just a couple things to point out. So, Bohemian Rhapsody unfortunately won both sound awards because they don't understand what sound editing or mixing is. I guess if I just play a Queen song, they're like, "Oh, good sound. I like that sound." Okay.
They thought, "Oh no, they had to edit that into the movie." Okay, we got to give it a sound editing there.
Here, I'll drag and drop this song file. Wow, shocking.
And then
talking about Bohemian Rhapsody just makes me angry. Black Panther won production design, which I'm not angry about. Would have preferred The Favorite or Roma one, but it's solid world building. It's fun. Don't hate it. Roma takes
and if you are going to nominate it for Best Picture, you need these kind of awards to push it up there.
Yeah, for sure. So Roma wins cinematography, which I'm perfectly okay with. I think it's a really well shot film. Like, I mean, Alfonso Cuarón movies always look great. You know, he's his own cinematographer. All of his like tracking shots are always so well done, always so immaculately planned. Also love to see Lucas Zal get a nomination for Cold War. So 3 of the 5 nominees in cinematography were actually international features.
Yeah, which is like
Roma,
crazy.
Cold War, and Never Look Away. The Favorite also got in Robbie Ryan, which I love. Did some really weird stuff with like anamorphic lenses and stuff. And then Matthew Libatique, who I love. I do think that A Star Is Born cinematography is actually quite good.
Yeah.
I like all of it. Has some of the most well done stage sequences. Like how he lit all of those stage sequences is like it's really great.
It's a really beautiful film to look at.
Matthew Libatique he's a great cinematographer. I can't wait to see what he does with Don't Worry, Darling. Like the trailer already looks stunning. So yeah. But Lucas Zal, I honestly would have preferred Cold War win this, even though it was never going to. But I'll just read off some of his credits. So his debut for feature as a cinematographer was Ida, which also got him a nomination, I believe. It's maybe my favorite cinematography of all time. Like I cannot recommend this movie. Like it's stunning to look at. He also did Loving Vincent, which picked up some nominations as well, starring Willem Dafoe. He did Cold War, and then most recently he worked with Charlie Kaufman on I'm Thinking of Ending Things. Very, very good cinematographer. This was, I think, the last year where we had 3 Make 'Em Hair noms. Vice won, which, sure. Also, Border, this random Swedish fantasy film, got in, which is crazy.
Why not?
They made people look like dirt, I guess. Black Panther wins costumes, Ruthie Carter, which, sure. Editing, I don't even want to talk about it. Visual effects went to First Man.
No, you have to bring yourself to say it at least. Editing went to Bohemian Rhapsody.
It's so bad. Like the editing in that movie is so bad. It's so pointless.
Except for one sequence, which is probably the sequence they sent off and is the reason it's in this category. Like one sequence is edited well. I'll give it that.
Are you talking about the Live Aid concert?
Yeah.
I guess, but like the entire rest of it has no sense of time. Like
no.
It has no like. I'm so happy A Star Is Born didn't get nominated because that's also up there with some of the worst editing I've ever seen. Because the passage of time in that is even worse. Like it's atrocious. I mean, I don't know. Also, what's Green Book here? I don't
know why Vice is here though. Like I know we will disagree on that, but I don't think Vice should be here.
I was literally just gonna say Vice should have won.
Yeah, no, Vice should not have been here.
I don't know. Adam McKay's editing is grown on me. It's like
it's clearly a style. Like people who just say it's bad editing, like they are wrong about that. But it's a style that was not one that worked for a film like Vice.
I think I know. We'll talk about Vice later. How we disagree on that. I think that Vice is Adam McKay's best film by far. And it's not even close. Like I don't know. But yeah. Also, First Man randomly won VFX somehow. Like I'm shocked Avengers didn't win.
Yeah.
But what a wild year at the Oscars.
For sure.
Free Solo took Doc, which I don't hate. I've never even heard of any of the other nominees. So all right, let's get into it. This will be an interesting. This will be interesting, everybody. This is what you're all here for. We're ready for the debates. We're ready for the arguing. This might be. Here, let's clickbait this. This might be the last video ever on this channel. We might get so.
Wow, yeah.
Could make those like family YouTuber channels, like those like families, and they're like, he said what? Like I should put together like a clickbait like sequence, like the.
Oscar buzzer splitting up.
Yeah. He left the show.
At some point I'll just leave for cool for dramatic effect.
Yeah. So all right, let's kick it off. We'll go in alphabetical order. Coincidentally, we'll start with something that I think we'll agree on. Black Panther.
Yeah.
I'll let you lead.
Okay, so I think this is just like a fun time. I don't think it's perfect, by no means. I think one problem is that T'Challa as a character is not the best protagonist. He's actually quite a weak protagonist. For a film called Black Panther, for him not to be the most major part, that did feel a bit odd. But on the contrary, Michael B. Jordan is excellent, and I still stand by the fact he is the best MCU villain. I think he's better than Thanos. I think he's better than anyone else you throw out there. Yeah, like I think, and the problem is he even really the antagonist of the film? Like, I think
the protagonist.
Yeah, yeah. Which I do think is a bit problematic when the film is sort of portraying this protagonist-like figure as an antagonist. I just think it gets a bit morally grey there, which is not the worst in the world. But,
like he is the best person in this movie. He has the strongest motivations. Like, I mean, I know, think, like, there's definitely some.
Yeah, it is a little confused in that. It is a little confused in that sense. I think this is a good pretentious Marvel film. Oh, a Marvel film with something to say. Like, this is what Eternals was trying to be, this sort of prestigious MCU film, and just wasn't. Like, this actually has good messaging. You know, it's delivering the messaging in a good way. And I think one of the best parts of this film is how it does build a world, and that is all to do with production design, costume design, all of the stuff like that. I really do think Wakanda feels like a lived in place, and yeah, that's really cool. Also, like, the story isn't the most groundbreaking, and like, I look for an action film, the actual action in it is not like great. Like, the final fight with the train and all that, that's quite bad actually. One of the weaker MCU film action climaxes or whatever. So, like, yeah, technically it's impressive. It's got some good messaging. It's a fun time. Should have been an Oscar film. I don't know, but it feels more important than most of the MCU. It feels like a classy MCU film. And if you like the MCU and you like Oscar films, yeah, you should have a fun time with this.
Like, I think I think you could say it's objectively the best MCU movie.
Objectively speaking, yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I think you could say that, and I still don't think it's anything more than like a 4 or 4.5, like, objectively. Which I think, you know, like, but the MCU is never going to be anything like more than that. Like, I don't know. Like, yes, and I will say this is better than Eternals, but Eternals is also good. But that will die on that hill. Yeah, like, Killmonger is legitimately the protagonist, and I think, like, where the film struggles a lot is how it wants me to not like Killmonger. In reality, he was wronged by this, like, you know, hierarchical you understand what I'm saying? Hierarchical like, royal family that was just, like, trying to, like, it was kind of, like, messed up. And the ending does feel a bit cheesy. I mean, it's like, I think this also kind of hit hard in America because we were, like, you know, 2 years into Donald Trump, and we were like, oh, this isn't fun. So then there's, like, I mean, just the cheesiest ending, like, you know, build bridges, not walls, as our president build a wall. Like, it's like, okay, like, we get what you're doing here.
Yes,
like, we understand. Like, you know, not the most subtle thing in the world, but, like, and I know we're going to talk about Vice later, and I'll defend that movie to death, and I'll explain why. But yeah, like, it's a good movie. It's a fun movie, as you say. The production design, the costumes, the sound work, all good. This was nominated for VFX, and I think deservedly so. The VFX in this are not good. Those rhino things look bad. Just straight up bad. But, like, I don't know. It's a fun time. I think we also have a bit of, you know, attached sentimentality to it because of Chadwick Boseman's untimely passing. I still don't even think that I mean, this is nowhere near, like, his best performance, I think.
No.
I think Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I also picked up this the other day, which I would highly recommend, 42, which I think is a very good film. Have you seen it?
I've not seen it.
I know you probably don't care about American baseball, but it's a good film about Jackie Robinson, the first black American baseball player. And he's quite good in it. Harrison Ford's also in it. So, yeah, I mean, even like what's the name of the movie that I'm trying to think of? Marshall. Chadwick Boseman is also good in. So, like, this is nowhere near Chadwick Boseman's best, but it's probably his most iconic role. So, like, it's fun. This is very culturally impactful. And
and that is, like, the most, like, important thing. Like, it's a film I highly respect what they're going for. I just think it's good. I don't love it. Like, I like it. I respect what it's going for. I mean, there are elements I love. But as a whole package, I don't know if it completely.
I mean, it's a Marvel movie. Like, it's not going to be. It's. I don't think a Marvel movie, as far as just objective levels, is ever going to be on par with some of the best in the Oscars. It's just lucky that, one, it hit so hard culturally, and two, it was a bad year for movies.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only reason it got in. Like, it's so wild that this released in February and got in. Like, we had this and Get Out 2 years in a row, drop in February and March and get into Best Picture.
Yeah.
Just crazy. Like, I don't know. Hope we can see that for Everything Everywhere and Top Gun this year.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean they came out later even, so they should stand even more of a chance.
Yeah. Couldn't care less about the Batman though. Shouldn't happen.
No, the Batman shouldn't happen. I don't think it will.
I hope not. Jesus.
Like, if we are going for a blockbuster pick, Top Gun is the one you go for. Yeah.
Yeah, and Everything Everywhere is like the film Twitter pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to Black Klansman, which I think is another very good movie. I think it's honestly one of Spike Lee's best. Like, I think his best is still obviously Do the Right Thing, which is just a masterpiece. I think we can agree on. I hope.
I think it's personally not the most hard hitting for me personally. That's just because my experiences. But like it's a 9 out of 10. It's it's
very, very good film. But like, this is great. I think John David Washington actually does a very good job. He has since proven that, like, maybe, this was he's a one hit wonder. Because like Tenet and Malcolm and Marie aren't the best.
Or Beckett as well.
Oh Jesus, he wasn't. I completely forgotten about that movie. That was the Netflix thing, right? That felt like a 70s thriller.
Yeah, I didn't mind it personally, but it wasn't. John David Washington wasn't great in it.
Completely. I even got I reached out to Netflix for a screener of that.
Wow.
I completely forgotten that movie existed. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Because also, what's her name from Ex Machina is in it as well, right?
Alicia Vikander.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Alicia Vikander is also in it.
She could well have been. Yeah.
Like, wow. Sorry, that just I completely forgotten that movie existed. But yeah, I think Adam Driver is also very good. I think that he should have won for this. I think that, I mean, he's between this and Marriage Story, like, he should have won something. Like, this is the second year. This is like the second show in a row where like we had Joaquin Phoenix and Mahershala Ali, and I was like, really, like, in a year where Adam Driver gives like this performance, this is what we're giving the win. Like, yeah. But I don't know. I think that this does all the things that Black Panther wanted to do even better, as far as addressing like Black culture in a Trump era America. And like, it's a very fun film. It holds the Spike Lee style while also being like accessible, I think. Some really fun dialogue when they're on the phone with the Ku Klux Klan leader. As well, that dude's still out there. He's still doing his thing. Yeah.
Okay.
I love America. I think he's friends with like Jim Baker now, which kind of makes sense.
Right.
Let's see that crossover bring Andrew Garfield. Yeah. Also, Jordan Peele picking up his second Best Picture nomination in a row since he produced this.
Yeah, producing. Yeah. No.
So, yeah. But I don't know. Any other thoughts on Black Klansman? Like.
Yes, I will say, like, the score piece, so Blut and Boden it's called, I think it's one of my favourite film score pieces, like, ever. It's the one that plays during the bomb scene, and that's just, like, always a repeat. It's got that hard little guitar riff, and like, like that, one of my favourite film score pieces ever. I think the bomb scene as well is maybe the standout scene in the entirety of these, like, Best Picture nominations.
I would throw the scene from The Favorite that I'll bring up later, but it's up there.
Yeah. And I think the amazing thing is it's even more poignant now, like than it was then, even, I guess.
Yeah.
As you say, Washington Driver have just great chemistry with one another. So, like, the films, I think it does balance the comedy and drama very well. Like, Spike Lee knows what he's doing by this point. And another thing, like, it really takes you back to the time period. I think just everything about the production line on that end, and like you feel like you're watching a film set in this time period, and that's hard to do. The film is a little heavy-handed, like I won't lie, but it's fine, and it's a very good film.
I don't mind because it fits in stylistically with like
so I don't think like these sort of negatives, I don't think really hurt the film too much. And like, what's stopping it being 5? I don't know. It's like there's just something holding this film back.
I agree. Yeah, I also have it at 4.5.
It's almost there. It's hard to put your finger on why exactly it's not a great film, but as it stands, it's a very, very good film, and there are lots to love within it.
It also addresses race and racism far better than another movie that we'll talk about in just a second.
It does. I won't disagree with you there.
Okay, this is gonna make me angry, so I'm gonna let you talk Bohemian Rhapsody. So I
Right.
want to talk about your journey with this film first.
Yeah, so the first time I watched it, 2018, in the theatre, pretty much loved it. And that is because if you look at it on a surface level, I still think it's fun. I still think it's a very fun film. I still think Malik is superb. Bale shouldn't have won. Malik should have won.
Ugh, well,
There's no. I don't think like Malik gives a better performance than Joaquin Phoenix did. He gives a better performance than whoever won.
whoa! Like he isn't that good. Like Malik is meh.
I think Malik is really, really good. Like Anthony Hopkins did give a better performance than him. I think if you're rating all three of them, it goes Hopkins, Malik, Phoenix. Like Malik is really, really incredible, and he carries this film on his shoulders. I think it does help that you can just throw in a Queen song every now and then to like sort of hype you up because Queen make good music. You know, that's just a fact.
One of my favorite bands of all time. I love Queen.
Yeah, so it does help that you have those sort of get out codes, I guess. And like the final sequence, as I said, is very good. It's like really captivating and all of that stuff. But when you start looking at it deeper, it completely just falls apart. Like it's a very problematic film in the way it handles his sexuality. Mm-hmm. And it just feels very hollow. It's, you know, it's formulaic. It's just doing nothing interesting. It's like once you, so it's not boring. Like it's not, no. I don't think anyone could claim it to be boring. But
I didn't keep watching the movie.
Like, yeah, exactly. It's perfectly watchable. And I do find it more watchable than a couple of others, even though objectively it probably is a bit worse than them. Specifically one, which we'll get to. But yeah, like it just feels it's problematic, like with everything behind the scenes going on with Bryan Singer and all of that kind of stuff. Yep. Yeah, it's just don't look too much into this film if you want to have a good time. But yeah.
Yeah. I assume you're referencing Roma?
No, The Favourite. I think The Favourite is objectively better than this, obviously. But yeah, I find this probably more watchable than The Favourite. And the run-up from after was, I think Vice is actually a worse film than this, which I know we'll debate.
Whoa. Yeah, no, cause I could see it, I could see Roma, cause I could see how people could find that like a bit dull, because like, and I even like, it isn't the most like entertaining movie, but I think it's just also very beautiful. But I don't know, I found The Favourite like incredibly captivating, but yeah.
No, I'm not saying it's dull, The Favourite. I'm saying I find Bohemian Rhapsody, yeah, we'll get into it when I review The Favourite.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, I'll just like just go off of some of my Letterboxd review of this. Like how it portrays his sexuality, like, you know, oh, okay, well when he was, you know, gay and hanging out with gay people, then that's when the band crumbled apart, which is not even historically true. It was reworked so that way it was, you know, his sexuality that got in the way of the band, when in reality that wasn't even a problem. The timeline of that didn't, like, he didn't even get AIDS until like they moved that forward in the timeline. Like they just very much manipulated his sexuality to just fit into the narrative. I mean, it's also just, I love how, you know, Freddie Mercury, one of the most creative and ingenious people to ever live, gets the most like sterilized and formulaic film all the time. You know, his longtime partner of like 8 years reduced to a single kiss, while his ex-wife, that, you know, in reality he like was just friends with and didn't ever want to get back together with, you know, is like focused on throughout the entirety of the movie. Also, it has his like you know, him being gay as something that was forced upon him rather than something that he just was. Like literally his first, like, you know, the first time that he's like, you know, realizes he's gay is because somebody like, you know, forced a kiss with him, and like that's also just such a like hurtful and like harmful trope against homosexuality, that it's something that's forced, because those are like people like, yeah, brother, don't want the movies to make my kids gay, and it's like, yeah, it's just like that isn't, I don't know, it's like it's very, very problematic. I just also, there's quite literally a line where they're basically like, bisexual people aren't real, which is cool. Love that. That's awesome. Yeah. I love when we say bisexual people.
Good, love that messaging.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. You know, well, he was quite literally bisexual. I mean, and then also like, it just, the movie wants to be a Queen concert. It doesn't want to be like an actual movie. And like, yeah, I agree, the Live Aid sequence was cool, but it's also just a cover band concert that was just shot and edited well. And like, that isn't a movie. That's just a cover band concert that's shot and edited well.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know. And this hurts me a lot because like I said, Queen is legitimately one of my favorite bands of all time. I listen to Queen almost daily.
And like
on my playlist. It's just like,
and I think the problem is like it ends with that sort of quite uplifting triumphant scene. So the immediate thought after the film is, oh, that's very good, and then you realize when you start scratching deep, when you start actually looking at it as a film, it falls apart and it's not very good.
and like the editing is so bad. And no, I think that Rami Malek's performance comes across as incredibly disingenuous, like kind of hollow and emotionless. Like,
I think Malek is very good. I think the fact that he is able to stand out so vividly despite the film being like not good, I think is a testament to him, and the fact that he basically is the reason this movie isn't 0 or like a 1 out of 10, like him, and it's really just him alone.
I hate this movie a lot. Surprisingly, it wasn't the worst of the year though. It wasn't the worst Best Picture nominee of the year though. That's still to come.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just hate this movie a lot. Okay, let's talk about The Favorite. A great movie. I'll lead on this one. I think that So, and I think there's a very important distinction to make. Yorgos Lanthimos is one of my favorite filmmakers working today. Very much not yours. I would still recommend The Lobster. I still think The Lobster is his best movie. I still think The Lobster is very, very good. But I mean, because you've seen Dogtooth, Killing of a Sacred Deer, and this, right?
Yeah.
So those are all
not really, not liked any, not a single one of them I've liked. So I know this will anger film trips and Letterboxd, but Yorgos Lanthimos, not for me.
Yeah. I don't know. All of his films are a minimum of a 4 for me. I really, really love. I don't know. I like over stylized stuff. I like weird stuff. Especially if it is having something to say. And I think that this is like it's a brilliantly written screenplay. How he handles all of the different power dynamics, handling the different characters. Like each character is chasing after power and trying to influence somebody else, and it just goes in the circle. Where nobody ends up actually winning and everybody just ends up kind of losing and still yearning for the power of somebody else. And how that's worked throughout the entire film, and how Lanthimos like manipulates each of his characters just so naturally into each position. I think every decision comes feels very natural to each character and feels like a natural progression. And it isn't until the end you just realize that everybody's just kind of gone around in a circle. I mean, I don't know. This also gave us Horatio the Duck, so easy couple stars for that. Fastest duck in the city. But yeah, I mean, I even just think like the production design, the costumes, makeup, and hair are all immaculate. I love how this movie is shot. I love all the weird stuff that he does with the anamorphic lenses and like having the camera like always pointing up towards the ceiling. Because I also think that that's like a really interesting place to see the ceiling over the floor at all times. It's like a lot of symbolism with that, showing how ungrounded these characters are. And then when they're on the lower levels, when Emma Stone is like working at these like small like places in like terrible working conditions, then the camera's like weird down. Like it isn't Parasite, but it does a lot of Parasite-esque stuff when dealing with like class disparity and like wealth disparity and like classism, especially in this period of England. I think this movie is also unironically incredibly funny. Like I think Olivia Colman so deserves for a win here. I think this is her best performance of her career. I think Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz are also incredible. Like I really don't have any problems with this movie. I think that this is also very, very close to a 5 for me. I think the only thing that stops that, I guess, is it takes a second to get started, but once it gets going, it's really going. And I don't know. I love this movie a lot.
Yeah, so for me, like, yes, the screenplay is good. Yes, the performances are incredible, and costumes and production and all that kind of stuff it's objectively quite a good movie. It's just one that does not work for me. His style of like dark humor that he implements, just I don't like it. As a simple fact, there's the barrier between me and that. And like visually as well, it's not my kind of thing. I find it too like dreary, all of the dark colors that he's going for.
Yeah.
Like I do genuinely find it quite ugly to look at, and I guess that is the point of it. It is these ugly characters existing in an ugly landscape, but equally, I don't really want to be watching a film that I'm looking at going, well, don't like looking at that. So let's say, like, you know, in a way, like, I guess what it's I get where it's going, but for me, it's just not personally something I enjoy watching. And just more often than not, I just like I don't enjoy watching it. You can't really put a sort of explain that to words. This film just makes me go, okay, yeah, exactly. And like I do find at a point it gets a bit bogged down in symbolism. Like I am similar to how Wes Anderson to what Wes Anderson does. I do find myself having to stop and appreciate everything, and like I do get distracted by that. I can't be immersed because I'm constantly looking at it as a film, and like I can't become immersed in the world because I'm going, oh, that's a good piece of production design. Oh, is that symbolism? What does that mean? What does that mean? And like, so I guess after maybe 10 rewatches of this, I would finally be able to properly just enjoy it. But I don't want to watch it 10 times.
I guess those are the best kind of films for me. Films that do take multiple watches to understand, because I mean I feel like that means that they're incredibly dense and really well done. Like I wouldn't want a movie that like I like, you know, like fist feeds everything to me.
No, but I still want a film that I can enjoy and appreciate after 2 rewatches. Like, and this is one that I feel I would need a lot of rewatches to truly appreciate. Like, I don't want everything spoon fed to me, of course, but I still want to be able to appreciate a film without having to like examine every single little bit. And I feel like with this film, you do have to examine every single bit to sort of get what it's going for. Like I'm just done. Yeah. Also, I'm watching like people be nasty to each other, just like nasty people be nasty to each other, and like you're not rooting for anyone, really. And like if you want morally grey films, like it's just one that there are a lot of barriers between me and the enjoyment of this film, and like it's just not one that works for me. Like at a fundamental level.
All of the things that you were describing that didn't work for you were like exactly what I want from a film.
Yeah. Whereas I just find it disgusting. It's weird. It's visually quite ugly. I get what it's doing. I get what Yorgos is doing. He's a very clever man. He knows what he's doing. But for me, just not my kind of director.
And that's fair. I'm glad that we could agree that objectively it is a well done.
Yeah, and that's why I will be putting it ahead of Bohemian Rhapsody and Vice. Like simple fact. Like I can appreciate the fact it's a better movie than those two. Like I know you'll disagree on Vice, but
I'm still kind of making up my mind between Vice and The Favorite, but I think on the opposite side of the spectrum here. But yeah, I go back and forth between those two frequently. But yeah, I just I mean it's subjective, and it's just all the things that you described why you didn't like it are all things that I look for in a movie and what I love to see in a film. And that's also why I just think that Wes and Yorgos are two of my favorite directors. I mean, alongside like Lynch and Cronenberg and Guy Medin, and like I love directors who make incredibly dense films that are very confusing on the first watch. I mean, Ingmar Bergman, another director who I love, like very dense films that are confusing on the first watch, but still leave you with like a cinematic high, which is what this did for me. And then I want to keep on revisiting it, and then with each watch, it just gets more and more rich. And as far as what I can take away from it, like this is the kind of movie that I will like never get tired of watching. I could just watch over and over and over. And I probably could find something you do appreciate about it every single time, just because of how much was, I think, very clearly put into this movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we go into the opposite side of the spectrum for each of us.
We've arrived
into Green Book, a solid. I'll just come out and say it. Solid 1-star movie. This is one of the worst. Okay, this would, if I made like a bottom like 25 or bottom 50, this would be in there.
Wow. Okay.
This is legitimately one of the worst movies I have ever seen. I think the only part about it is that Mahershala Ali's performance is decent, and that's it. Like I would classify this along with like Hallmark Christmas movies, and I think there are Hallmark Christmas movies better than this. Okay. But I'll let you explain why you love this movie.
Right. So, I don't love this movie. I'll put it out there. Like, I think it's an 8 out of 10. 8.5 out of 10. So it has significantly decreased on rewatch.
I mean,
yes. So, but anyway, should it have won Best Picture? No. Is this film tackling racism in an interesting or even competent way? Not really. No. But this is the film that I view much more of a film about friendship that has some messages to say. Does it execute these messages clearly? No, but like not every film has to be exploring deep themes. It's better if they do, but this is one that it isn't, and like that's okay. It's a film about friendship. I do really just buy into the chemistry between Viggo and Mahershala Ali. I think they are both very good. I'm not mad Mahershala Ali won. Adam Driver should have won over him, but I'm not mad Mahershala won. Yeah. This is the film about, to me, about friendship, and if you get wrapped up in their relationship, you go along on the journey with them, and you end up with this positive feeling in your heart. And like, yes, if you start, and again, like Joker promising on, once you enter it into the Oscars conversation, like you have to start looking into it deeper, and that's where it sort of falls apart a bit. But like sometimes it is just important to have these feel good films. I do like the comedy aspects that come through, and like you can tell Peter Farrelly is primarily. I think there are some comedic elements that come through, like not laugh out loud funny, but just like happy, feel good, funny. I think it's paced well. Like I like all of the things, like the way their relationship develops. I think that is very competently unfolded. I think, like, if you are going under the assumption this is a Hallmark Christmas movie, which I don't think it is. I think it is more like
ending straight up a Hallmark Christmas movie.
Well, the ending is maybe it's a cliche film, but it's Oscar bait at its finest, and like Oscar bait is Oscar bait because it works. Like to make Oscar bait, you know what you're doing. You have to make a competent film for it to be Oscar bait. Like there is nothing wrong with Oscar bait to me, and that is where I'm really going with this. Like there is nothing wrong with Oscar bait. Are they the best films ever? No. Like in any other year, this would not have won Best Picture. It should not have won Best Picture. Like I'll be the first to say that. But in a year that is so weak like this is the best you got. And to me, I enjoy Oscar bait sometimes. I think it is important to have films that just feel good. It's important to have films that you don't have to examine every single frame, but instead it's about the feeling that it leaves you with. And it's a film that makes me feel happy, makes me feel positive, and that's why I enjoy it. Like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with Oscar bait sometimes.
So I was taking notes. So I feel like even the friendship feels incredibly disingenuous, especially because once again, the family of Don Shirley said that this movie is like completely fabricated. And like it isn't genuine at all. It's written by Nick Vallelonga, renowned racist and Trump supporter. Who said that all Muslims cheered during the 9/11 attack. So, and we'll get into that later with Vice, because this is it has to be over the top with its satire, because this is exactly the kind of people that Vice was commenting on. Was the writer of this movie. Which we'll get into in a second. But I think that Viggo Mortensen is straight up bad. I don't understand what he's doing with his Italian accent. I think
his accent is believable. I think his accent is believable enough, and I think
it feels like an SNL performance.
He sells it. He sells it in my opinion.
In the same way that it's just like Will Smith and King Richard, but even worse. In the way that I feel and King Richard is I would call King Richard Oscar bait well done, and I still think that movie's probably a 7 out of 10. Because it's just fine. Oscar bait movies, I feel like they want to leave the audience feeling like they've said something when in reality they've said absolutely nothing. And but
as I said though, I don't really take any of the themes in this film very seriously, because I genuinely don't think this is what they are.
How are you going to say that it's a good movie if you can't even take the themes that it's presenting seriously?
I don't think this is a film that is meant to be examined that deeply. I think the themes are there, and Peter Farrelly is going, no, we're saying some things, but at its core, this is a film about friendship, and this is a film about the journey that these two characters go on. And that is very compelling to watch, to see these characters and their relationship unfold. And so these problems, the problems behind the scenes, yes, they do detract somewhat from the movie, and I didn't know about them before, but the film at its core is not a Best Picture nomination, but it is the sort of Oscar baity feel good film that sometimes I believe are very important and are just fun to watch. I have a fun time watching this.
You keep on saying that this didn't deserve even a Best Picture nomination, but are you going to argue it as it should have won Best Picture?
I might not, you see. I might have to put something above this. I'll have a think about what to put above this, because I wouldn't, whilst I'd say it's the film I have the most fun with out of these, it's not the best. But again, this year was weak.
I know, and I feel like this contributed to how weak it was. Like, I don't know, like you say it's supposed to leave you feel, but like this doesn't even accomplish the Oscar bait thing of like leaving you feeling fun. Like I legitimately just felt gross after watching this. Like I needed to like take a shower.
I mean that is subjective. Right? That is a very subjective feeling
and
about
that's
what
like,
this.
I mean, it feels so racist. Like it tackles racism from the idea of like I don't want black people to be enslaved, so that means that I'm good. You know, racism only happens when hate crimes, and like doesn't it like so quickly glosses over the systemic racism that's like, you know, the most prevalent racism I think like it isn't just like, you know, because like most people aren't just gonna like go up and start like beating up like a black person just for being black, because like most people are, you know, decent people. But like just like with how the systems are built, and like, you know, it's the title of the movie, Green Book, because it was like, you know, the Green Book, which I think is a fascinating concept, and I wish it would have actually, you know, talked about the systemic problems with like, you know, at least America at its core, rather than just being like, well, you know, at least the at the end the cops were nice, so that means it's good. And it felt like the cop scene felt like because like they show the cops being like, you know, bad before and being incredibly racist, which like cool, you're tackling, you know, the systemic problems with racism, but it felt like they had like a screening for like police officers, and then the police were like, hey, we gotta make this so we don't look bad. So then there's just that incredibly cheesy scene at the end. Like it feels like goofy. Like that was the part where I laughed at. That was the only part that I laughed, when the police officer comes up and then he's like, you're good to go, or whatever the hell he says. And it's just like, it's like so obviously like, you know, like, but actually not all cops are bad. But like, I'm not saying that all cops are bad. I'm just saying that there's a systemic problem with like this movie. And like, I don't know. Like, yeah, you can say that this movie was just meant to be like an enjoyable film, but like if you're going to make the center of your movie, like quite literally the title of the movie is Green Book, like, which is, but then you're just like making excuses for the systemic racism rather than like actually addressing it. And like I don't think that you can say like, yeah, I think then the goal of this movie was to just be like a fun movie, but like then don't make your title like in like the concept of your movie about the systemic racism of the South, and then just like you make excuses for it. I don't know. It feels really weird. Like I like there's nothing wrong with Oscar bait, but at least don't be racist. Like I don't know.
No, I get what you're saying about like it maybe does feel a little exploitative in the fact that it is, at the end of the day, an Oscar baity feel good film that is tackling such a horrific issue that needs to be tackled. And but like that's so I think you've got films like Black Klansman for that purpose, and they are very good and they're very effective. And so but you've also need films like this to be filmed.
Like I don't think we need the other, like I don't know. And like,
I think at the end of the day, the goal of this film was to be a feel good film about friendship, and in that regard, it succeeded in my eyes.
I just to me it just, even on in that aspect it didn't. I just think from a technical level the editing is really poor. Just to me, I don't think it's paced well. I don't like the ending is also just very goofy and silly, and it's so cliched, and it's again like, you know, the climactic part of the movie where it's like, oh, it's just like, will she be racist? Oh my god, she wasn't. Wow, how cool. Like do we really need that movie in 2018? Like we should have stuff like Black Klansman, which I think tackles everything that this movie wants to tackle in a far more effective and like progressive way that's actually contributing something to the conversation, instead of like, this movie feels like it should, like it would have been made like this movie would have been great in like the 1970s, and it would have been seen as like this like groundbreaking thing, but it feels like a movie just like out of place in time. Like we didn't need this movie in 2018, particularly from the people who made it. Like I don't know. I hate this movie.
I mean, to me, this is something that you can come out with different lenses. Like as you said, Black Klansman wanted to. We mentioned this film wanting to tackle those themes. At its core, I don't think this film is necessarily trying to be groundbreaking, trying to be inventive, trying to even say much about racism. And I think it's trying to go for a different purpose.
Don't make a movie about, like, I don't know.
I think it's designed to be a backdrop. I think it's designed, and which, yes, I would 100% validate your arguments. you can't have it really as a backdrop, and like that does feel like wrong. But I don't think it detracts too much from my experience watching it, and like at the end of the day, it doesn't detract from the feeling that I get out of this movie and the lasting impact this film like leaves me. Like I feel happy after watching this film. Therefore, I can't say in good faith that it's a bad film or a film that I don't enjoy watching. If it's a film that at the end of the day, I'm left with a positive feeling after.
Yeah. I couldn't even get that. Like I have no positive things to say about this movie other than Mahershala Ali was decent.
Okay.
Like that's yeah. Okay. We'll see with this one. I actually don't know your opinion on this one. I remember you saying you disliked it before. But let's talk about Roma. I feel like
I disliked it. I don't think I ever said I disliked it. I think it's good enough. I think the problem is like it's a very artsy film. And I do think it does get bogged down in trying to be all big. And I do think at times it can be boring and dull. Like having said that, I do think objectively, it like all the technical elements are absolutely phenomenal. Like I think Quran is just a master at doing all of these kind of things. And I do really wish I could have seen it on a bigger screen, but sadly I didn't get to. That's just and it takes a long time for me to get invested in the story.
It's a very slow burn.
Yeah, it is a slow movie, but I do think the acting is incredible. And it is subtle in its fact. Like we would have discussed Men on the most recent episode of Oscar Buzz, and Men is a very unsubtle film about going men bad. This is a very more subtle take on that, and I do really appreciate that. To me, it just feel a little self-indulgent at times from Quran. I think he is trying to, throughout all of his technical elements, I think he's just putting them into this film, and I do sometimes think that the artistry does like serve sort of a boundary to some of the emotion. So I don't think the emotion always resonates with me, and it feels weird to say that the artistry is almost too good, but that is sort of a thing I get out of this. So like similarly to The Favourite and similarly to Wes Anderson's filmography, like I often feel that I'm watching it as a film rather than as a story, a piece of media that I can really sink my teeth into. This feels like one that I'm stepping back and appreciating, but can't really ever get completely absorbed into the story. I do think it is like weirdly one of the better ones of this year, just by nature of the fact it's a weak year. As I said, technically very impressive, acting very impressive. So similar reasons why I don't like The Favourite. Although this, I do find the story a lot more watchable. I do find the acting a lot more, or not the acting, like just generally, I find it a more captivating film than The Favourites. But some of the problems I have with The Favourite do still exist with this film.
You say one of the problems was that the artistry was too good?
Yeah, I know it feels weird to say, like, but yeah, it's a weird one that. But I often feel that Quran is more focused on making a technically impressive film than making a sort of really emotionally impactful one, if that makes sense.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I also find this movie incredibly emotionally impactful. Like, I think, like, I mean, it's weird to say, like, objective, like, I'll say personally objectively, which is a weird thing to say. But, like, as far as, like, I would say that this is objectively the best of these nominees. It isn't my personal number one, but just as far as, like, everything.
I would agree with that.
I think it is the like objectively the best of these nominees. Like Alfonso Cuarón is a master of filmmaking. I think.
Yes, that is undeniable.
I mean, I think him winning director is so well deserved.
Completely.
Like he just. I mean, it's very much a slice of life film. That, as you say, it tackles sexism in a very subtle way, and it feels very like heartwarming but also tragic at the same time. Like I feel like the ensemble of the entire family is beautiful. Like you really feel all of their connections. Each member of the family feels very distinct. I think how the writing of both the mother and then the maid, like how that parallels each other with their respective relationships, is really beautiful. Like it's a beautifully tragic movie. I think the cinematography reflects that. It gives you that vibe immediately. There are some great long takes in this. The performances, again, especially by Yulitza Aparicio, just incredible. I mean, like it can it be a bit dull at times? I think so, But I appreciate a lot of those moments because a lot of those moments are just the small like slice of life, like pieces of this family. And I don't think by the end the film would pack quite as much of an emotional punch if we didn't have all of those smaller moments to really fall in love with this family and all of their weird, weird interactions. Even just at the start with the kid like laying on the roof, pretending to be dead, and then the mom like also laying down and saying, being dead is night. Like it's a very slow sequence that like is like 2 to 3 minutes long, and you might say it doesn't contribute much, but I think it really just gets you in touch with that family. But yeah, like it isn't the most engaging, it isn't the most entertaining. But I don't know. I really do love a lot of what this movie has to offer.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. As I said, there are stuff really that you can love with this film, but as I would agree, like it's not the most engaging, and I think some of that does come down to Quran going, okay, I need to make a good film. I need to put all of my technical mastery into it. And so, on the one hand, you do appreciate the film for all of this, but on the other hand, you do feel maybe that is what is contributing to, for me personally, maybe that is what is contributing to the fact I'm not totally engaged with it.
I do, and I don't want to make fun of you. I do find it funny that your biggest complaints for The Favorite and Roma were that they were like too well.
Yes, crafted. I know. I will be the first to note those are not really necessarily valid criticisms all the time. The Favorite is one that just does not work for me, as I mentioned, for all the reasons, and this one is one that I'm just not always engaged with. And like, like, are they maybe the two best, objectively speaking? Yeah, probably actually. But for me, they're just not always films that work. Like, and they are films. Roma, I get a little bored by. Favorite, I'm a bit off put by.
Yeah, and that's fair. Like, and I think with Roma, I don't know if it was anybody's favorite movie of the year. I mean, I'm sure there's some people, but I would say like at large, I don't know how many people had this as their favorite of the year, but I'm sure quite a few people had this in their top 10 of the year. And I think that's honestly why it unfortunately lost Best Picture, in my opinion, Best Picture, is because like I don't know how many people. It's the same thing with Power of the Dog and Coda. How many people had Power of the Dog at number 1? Did a lot of people really appreciate it and respect it and say this is one of the best movies of the year? And like, did it maybe have the most votes to be nominated for Best Picture? Maybe. But was it everybody's number 1? I don't know. And that's the preferential ballot for you. So yeah. So I don't know. It's interesting, but I don't know. This is just it's just a very beautiful movie. It feels almost kind of like a Linklater movie at times, where you're just like with someone's life. And I like that style a lot. I like Linklater a lot. I like Cuarón a lot. And it feels like a meld of Linklater's kind of writing style and like the stunning visuals of Cuarón that we've seen with stuff like Children of Men. So yeah, I have a lot of love for this movie. I will say since we've last talked, even just on Oscar Buzz when we recorded that, I've reshuffled a couple of things in my list. So
okay,
yeah. All right, A Star Is Born. I kind of want to lead with this one, because this was a movie that when I initially watched it, I hated, and rewatching it, I still don't like this movie, but I appreciate what it's doing, and I understand why people like it. No, like I get it. I think that Lady Gaga is giving a good performance. I think that she's very underwritten as a character. I mean, we don't even know her like last name until it gets changed to Bradley Cooper's character's last name. Like, she's just kind of there as like this like instrument for Bradley Cooper's affection. Like there are definitely some problems there. I just think that there are inherently some problems with the A Star Is Born story altogether, and I think that other ones have pulled it off better. But like, yeah, I mean, as we said, it's really well shot. I'm not in love with the editing. I think how it shows the passage of time isn't great. But yeah, there are some fun songs. Honestly, my biggest problem with this comes in that I despised Bradley Cooper's character from front to end. And I mean, we can talk about spoilers here. When he dies, I literally didn't care. I was like, oh, cool. I'm actually kind of happy for Lady Gaga's character now because she doesn't have to deal with him. Like, and that's not to say like at all with like his alcoholism. It's just I don't think that he was a good person to begin with. Just in how he was portrayed, and I didn't really care about their relationship at all. I think they have good chemistry, and I buy into their relationship, but I don't care about it because I don't think that he's a good person. I think alcoholism can be like it's hit or miss whether it works. Sometimes it can feel shallow, but but like it like there's some good sequences with Bradley Cooper. Overall, I'm not in love with this performance. Like I feel like Bradley Cooper's given a lot to do and doesn't make the most of it, whereas like Lady Gaga isn't given a lot to do and she makes the most of it. Like I did appreciate like how it detailed the kind of gross rise to fame that happens within like Hollywood and like the film and music industry, you know.
Right, so for Star is Born, I'd like this film a lot more than you do. I think that yes, I can see why Bradley Cooper's character to many would be unlikable. I think it's a very interesting character, and I think it's an interesting exploration of the theme of addiction. And I do think he's just a troubled character. I am sympathetic towards him in that regard. But this is a film that really, at its center, I just buy into the chemistry 100% completely between Cooper and Gaga. And so I just get like completely captivated by the story and watching their romance unfold. I really do adore the soundtrack. Like, it's probably one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. Not score, obviously, they're different things, but soundtrack in terms of the music written specifically for the film, I think it's incredible. Like Shallow, I think it's a great song. And Maybe It's Time is like in my playlist. Like it's one of my like just favorite songs of the past decade, maybe of all time. Like I think it really and so like story wise, as you mentioned, it's a little cliche. It's maybe a little outdated. That is the problem with this and Green Book. They are a bit outdated, the films.
They both feel like they should have been made in the 70s.
Yes, which it would have been very good in the 70s, I'm sure. But I also do appreciate Cooper's I also do appreciate Cooper's restrained direction. I think he directs it subtly, but I think it's a very beautifully directed film, and so I am excited to see what Cooper does with Maestro this year. So I am a little disappointed he didn't get the nomination, but he wasn't my favorite of the year. But I would put him in the top 5. And I do think the emotion just does really hit home at the end for me because like you'd been captivated by this character and the journey that these two go on. And so like the themes of all fame and addiction and all of them do come together in a pretty impactful climax for me.
So, and this is with the ending, her performing the song at the end, I'll be completely honest, I laughed because I just like, I don't like it felt so weird, like just with how I had felt about Bradley Cooper's character the entire time. And like, I mean, again, even removed from the alcoholism, even all of the stuff that he was like proposing and doing, and like I just like it felt just so gross to me. And then at the end for the like, the big emotional part to be like Lady Gaga singing a song honoring him. And like everybody, like I don't know, and maybe the movie's attempting to make a commentary on like how people will like idolize celebrities and like how like maybe they really aren't as like great as you think they are, and like maybe, but I think if that's what it was going for, then it would have needed more of that because that definitely doesn't hit. Like I feel like you have to do some mental gymnastics to get there, which is why I don't think that was what the film was going for in the end. But like I don't know, and before the Lady Gaga people come after me. I just call you what you are, stans. Which like completely fair. I like Kristen Stewart a lot. I like Andrew Garfield a lot. I like Timothée Chalamet a lot. But like Lady Gaga is good in this movie. I think that she is something in House of Gucci. Overall, I think that she is an incredibly talented performer, and she's a very talented actress. I just wish that she would pick better projects for herself because I don't think that she's been in a good movie so far, even if she is incredibly talented, because I do think that she's very talented. Like I
think Gaga is very good in this. I do think she's Oscar worthy in this. Was she Oscar worthy in House of Gucci? No. Was she the best performance in that movie?
I like this nomination for a Star.
Yeah, good. But and like I get what you're saying, but I think this is also like exploring themes of fame very well with Lady Gaga. I know Ali. She goes along with this journey. So yes, what Bradley Cooper's character is proposing, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, but it's part of this world, and Lady Gaga's character is going along with it, and so that is why she ends up where she is. And so it's an interest. It's not just like Bradley Cooper is the the sole aggressor of this relationship. Like Lady Gaga goes along with it as well. So I do think it is an interesting exploration of fame in that regard as well.
I'd agree. No, I love the exploration of fame. I think that Lady Gaga it was absolutely nomination worthy. But like she's written like so submissive, and not even like, because I understand like her character is largely submissive, but she's just so incredibly passive, to the point where like, yeah, this is an incredibly toxic relationship, so I hate that it paints it out to be like this like beautiful thing at the end. Like if it just was this gross toxic relationship and it leaves with like, you know, him like dying and her like just miserable and with her career ruined, I think that would have been a far better ending, because about how fame can destroy the humanity of people. But then the ending scene is like, you know, oh well, it's just everything's nice and happy and she's gonna move on and she was able to get the sweet moment out of it. And it just, I don't know, like I definitely appreciated a lot more about the movie this time, because like I do think that this was definitely worthy of nominations. The songs are all very good, like I would agree. I wish that I don't know, it felt like it needed that like big Oscar baity ending rather than just like feeling comfortable enough to leave our characters in a place of despair, which would have gotten so well with the deconstruction of fame, that I think was really well done up until that final point where it goes back to glorifying rather than showing the negative effects.
You know, I'd agree the ending could be better, but I don't think it's detrimental to what this film is exploring. Like, I still think that the film, the themes it is tackling is tackled in a very interesting and very competent way.
And that's fair. I think that this is my favorite. This is my the favorite. Like I get it. I understand completely why you like this film. I understand why so many like this film. It just I don't know. There's just a couple of little things just narratively that are done that don't work for me, and then also the editing. I just think is not great. It's supposed to have shown like 2 or 3 years have passed, and like I was like I feel like this happened in like a month. Like the passage of time isn't great. I would say it's like momentary editing is good, but its structural editing is like bizarre. But yeah, no, I get it. Like I think I have this at like 3 stars on Letterboxd. Like I think it's okay. Like I don't dislike this movie. I don't think it's a good movie either.
Yeah, that's completely fair. Yeah.
All right, we'll talk about Vice. Listen, okay, I don't think that this is a particularly well written movie. It's very all over the place. It's a Wikipedia article essentially. But I don't know, and for the same reasons why I really like Don't Look Up, Adam McKay makes very angry movies about politics, and I am a person that also gets very angry about politics and shares a lot of the same views as Adam McKay. So I completely acknowledge that this movie might, from a film perspective, is objectively incredibly messy and incoherent and like shoves all of its like messaging in your face. But I do think all of the performances are incredible. I like Adam McKay's editing style. That's just a personal thing. I think that like Adam McKay's editing style is like how to do maximalist editing. Because like I'm typically a fan of more minimalist editing, but like if you're going to do maximalist editing, I think this is personally how you do it. You just fully commit. But like overall, it's just I agree with a lot of stuff that he's saying. I don't get people saying that this is like trying to humanize Dick Cheney. I think it's like so overtly like satirizing him to the point where
the opposite,
yeah. No, well, there are so many people saying like I can't believe this is trying to humanize and sympathize with
no.
And like I completely disagree with that. Like yes, he's a war criminal. Both him and President Bush are war criminals, and they should like be in jail for ordering the killings of hundreds of thousands of people. And like but the U.S. decided to make a law so we couldn't try them as war criminals, so that's fun. But like it's just I don't know. I think that this is it's so overtly satirizing him and like dehumanizing him, because like the stuff that he was doing was like, I mean, it was pretty insane. And the reaction in the US being just so overwhelmingly positive towards all of these things that, I mean, because this was going on like as I was like being born and growing up and like looking back on it, like the US, like it was like overwhelmingly everybody was like, no, this is a great thing that we're doing this work, which is kind of insane looking back on it. So like, is this incredibly messy? Is it incoherent? Is it like even like a incredibly competent piece of like writing and like structural like filmmaking? No. But just personally, I relate to a lot of the anger that Adam McKay is trying to get out. And like, I don't mind the preachiness because I think that he's right, and it does have to be very preachy because most people in America would very strongly disagree with this. Is some stuff too, like for instance the mid-credit scene, like it can go.
I don't know why he always wants to put credit scenes in his films.
Yeah, his credit scenes like aren't.
No,
they aren't. I'll admit, like I'll be the first to admit, I don't know. I sympathize with a lot of what Adam McKay is saying in The Big Short, in this, and in Don't Look Up. So regardless of maybe the technical merit of a lot of his stuff, I think the performances and just what he is trying to say with this film personally works for me. But it isn't objectively a great movie.
Yeah. So I will say there is a difference because obviously I'm in the UK and you are in the US. So there is a difference in viewpoint already there. To me, as a UK person, as grown up in Britain all my life, I view this as like all of the sort of very, very preachiness is sort of to me like preaching to the choir. Like I don't know anyone who would believe that this is right. I don't know any like
yeah.
So exactly. There is a difference there automatically.
Yeah.
And like a lot of the reason I don't like this film, aside from the fact, as you said, all the structural issues, the screenplay's messy, the editing, I don't like the editing. It's subjective, the editing, if it either works for you or it doesn't. To me, it's about like directorial intent. Like, why did McKay choose to make this? And to me, it's because he felt his view's right, and I'm going to tell everyone my view's right. And if you don't agree with me, you're wrong. And it just feels condescending in that fact. Like, even though I agree with most of what he's saying, like, yeah, these are horrible people doing horrible stuff, I don't want that shoved down my throat. And I don't like the idea that this film is Adam McKay going, I'm right, and if you disagree with me, you're wrong. That's what it feels like to me. So therefore, it's sort of like this film is looking down at its audience, and it feels condescending. And like Don't Look Up worked with the very over the top satirical elements because the whole point is it's about climate change. Look, it's right there in front of us. We're not doing anything. Yeah, I got what that was sort of doing. This just felt like it was unsubtle because McKay sort of didn't really know how to make it subtle while still being satirical. He just thought, oh, we got to do satire. But I don't really know what to do, so I'm just going to make it completely 100% satire. Like, Bale is good. I will give Bale that. I would say Bale's probably my number 2 favourite that year, behind Rami Malek.
I think Amy Adams is also pretty great.
Amy Adams as well, yeah, is also pretty good. As is Sam Rockwell. He is good as well. Like, the performances are good in it.
Even,
I think...
what's his name from The Office? Steve Carell.
Oh, yeah.
Don Rumsfeld. Like, there's some good performances in here.
It's a very punchy film, which can often be a bit like a bit off-putting because you're like, whoa, there's a bit too much there. And yeah, like as you said, all of the problems, there are problems with this film technically. I think those are undeniable. And to me, it just felt like McKay feels he was right, and McKay feels that his opinions are more important than anything else. And most notably, his opinions are more important than making good film. He chose to spread his opinions, and he feels, yes, my opinions are so important. Everyone should share them. I'm not going to bother about making this film technically good. I'm just going to say my opinions. And like,
and the thing is, and I 100% get all that. Like I said, it's messy, it's incoherent, it's at times.
It feels like, this is a good analogy, an unthought out tweet. It feels like McKay's just tweeted and he hasn't thought it through completely. And like, yes, some of his opinions, I agree with most of his opinions in this film, but I don't like the way he shared them.
And that's completely fair. I think that it could also be a cultural thing as well too, potentially, just because like, I mean, I wish this was preaching to the choir, but like I just pulled it up in 2003, which was like, immediately post like 9/11, like right when like the invasion was being launched. It was between a little bit above 80% of Americans believed that invading Iraq was the correct thing to do. And that So and like I mean and it could also be like in a more of an emotional attachment thing because like I watched this right around the time when I lost quite a few friends with like the COVID pandemic, who were also the same people who believed even in 2019 that we should still be at war with Iraq and killing Iraqi people and people in the Middle East because they attacked because they one like 15 people that were part of a terrorist group not associated with any country in the Middle East attacked us one time. And like it's crazy a lot of the people in America in their beliefs. And once again, we keep on talking about this was mid-Trump era in America. And as you know, Trump was like he was doing stuff similar. And I completely acknowledge again all of from a film perspective, all of the potential problems with this, but this is the type of movie that just makes me this is the type of movie that makes me feel good after watching it because I'm like, yeah, Dick Cheney was a piece of shit. Like, and I can feel because like it's frustrating to be around people. I mean, and I live like in the middle of Illinois, which is like a generally conservative area, and there are still plenty of people who believe that Dick Cheney and George Bush were like great leaders, and they like. I would say they're the minority, but it isn't like a severe minority. It's still probably like 30 to 40% of people. Like it's I don't know. I just
no, that completely makes sense. I just want to say before like the conversation starts to kill me, whatever. I'm not arguing for the politics of Green Books. I'm not arguing against the politics of Vice. I'm just saying the way in which politics of Green Book was told appeals to me more than the way in which politics in Vice was told. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like politically, I'm more aligned with this film than Green Book, obviously. But or not obviously, I guess. Like
not obviously necessarily.
If you disagree, that's fine. But me personally, yeah. I align more with the politics of Vice. It's just the way it goes about presenting it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And I actually do think this is a bad film in the way it's told.
That's fair. Like I completely get that. And like I think the other thing is like I think that the performances are all incredible. And I think the biggest thing is that I like the editing style a lot. But yeah, I don't know. This is a movie where like I completely get people not liking it. I mean, it's not like you were saying, like the politics of Black Klansmen, not a fan. You're like, well,
no.
like, and if somebody and person watcher, if you do think the politics of Black Klansmen are bad, and you're like the KKK aren't that bad, then like I do think that you aren't maybe a great person. Yeah. But like like it's like I get it. Like I mean, this is and I think it's also something like, for instance, The Batman is a movie that I don't necessarily agree with the politics of. It feels like very like kind of reductive, I guess, but like I still like the movie for the most part. Like I still enjoy the movie. I still think it's a very well done movie, even if I think that politically it might be a bit like I don't know, I don't want to get into it, but yeah,
the whole 40-minute review of The Batman on the channel.
But yeah, I just like I'll say it, this isn't going to be my number one. I initially was going to put it there. I just think after rewatching some other movies on here, I think that some of them, just from a filmmaking perspective, they're just undeniably objectively better. But this is just the movie that I'm most emotionally connected to, and just how hypercritical it is. Like, I mean, and there's a lot of stuff that like Adam McKay could do. Like, I mean, I don't know. I just agree with the guy. And it's in a year where there were a lot of movies on this list that made me angry about some of the societal and like political stuff that it was tackling. This felt very refreshing just to have, like, it's nice to have a movie that's saying like, I agree with you, and even if it isn't the most well thought out thing. Like, I mean, it would be incredibly ham-fisted, but there was a mayor in a town near where I live. Mayor is a city called Peoria, who there was a parody Twitter account of him, so he ordered the SWAT team to go break into that person's house and have them arrested because he felt like it. Yeah. So like it's like I don't think that the satire in this, in like I know you aren't disagreeing with that, but like people saying that the satire, like and especially in Don't Look Up 2, it isn't that far off from how things are. It was like there is some crazy stuff that goes on, and I just it's nice to have a movie that says you're right about stuff, which
that's fair. That is completely fair.
So yeah. Anything else you wanted to say?
Not really. No, I think we covered it as well. Also, Twitter can learn something from that respectful debate. You see, people can debate respectfully.
Yeah, absolutely.
We disagreed on a lot of things here, but that's okay.
For sure. And like I'm like pretty in line with like Film Twitter and Letterboxd on most things. My opinions on Adam McKay are not that. Film Twitter and Letterboxd, not the biggest fans of Adam McKay. With both Vice and Don't Look Up. But like I don't know, just all the top reviews of Vice are like, we don't need to humanize Dick Cheney. It's like this is anything but that. But
I don't get where that is coming from because I don't buy that.
Yeah. Anyways, should we get into the ranking?
Yes.
All right. We've talked about we could try to mess with this. We could try.
I won't mess with it. I won't mess with it.
I won't. I'm just putting my genuine like honest ranking.
Yeah, same. I would as well.
So yeah, and stuff has definitely moved around. I definitely have some stuff mixed up, even just from like a couple days ago. But I think I know what your number 8 is going to be.
Yeah, my number 8 is Vice.
Yeah. Okay, which is fair. My number 8 is Green Book.
Yeah, that's fair as well.
Yeah, I mean we've talked about them. I don't think we need to go into much more. I'll throw out my number 7 is Bohemian Rhapsody. I think you are.
I would put that 7 as well. Yeah, The Favourite is so much of a better made film than Bohemian Rhapsody that I can't in good faith put it below. Even though if like you asked me to put a gun to my head, said which would you rather rewatch, I'd probably say Bohemian Rhapsody. The Favourite is a better film.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. But yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody. It's just like I'm glad that is one that we at least agreed on. I think that's the one that we're most in line with. Maybe Black Klansman as well. But like it's just a bad movie.
It is,
and it's just kind of gross.
There
There's
some nice stuff in there, but it can't completely. My number 6 though is The Favourite. I will put that there.
Okay. And I'm keeping track of all of our things. My number 6 is going to be A Star Is Born. Again, I appreciate it. It doesn't work for me. It is funny how a lot of stuff we like A Star Is Born and The Favourite very similar for us. We not for us, but we appreciate it. Vice and Green Book just like very much a disdain for it. To us. Okay, now this is going to get interesting. What's your 5?
So similarly to the debate I had between The Favourite and Bohemian Rhapsody, gun to my head, which would you rather watch, Black Panther or Roma? I'd probably say Black Panther, but I will say Roma is a vastly better film than it. So then 5th, I will put Black Panther.
I agree. Black Panther is my number 5 as well. So we have Black Panther there. Okay. Number 4 for me is going to be Black Klansman. I assume yours is Roma.
Yeah. I don't know why I keep using the gun to my head. Like, what a weird scenario that would be. Someone goes, you must rewatch a film.
Yes. I will force you to rewatch a film.
And it's going to be one of the 2018 Best Fiction nominees.
But Thomas, if someone were to put a gun to your head at this moment, what? Okay. So you have Roma at number 4. My number 3 is Vice. I have it at number 3. Again, I like it, but I acknowledge that it isn't great. What's your 3?
Again, I don't feel I can in good conscience put Green Book above Black Klansman. I think I will be slaughtered for doing that. So I'll put Green Book number 3.
Yeah, that wouldn't be the best of lucks.
No, I'll put Green Book 3.
Okay. So we've done Green Book and Vice in the same spot now.
Yeah, I was worried you were going to put Vice in 1, and I thought I'm going to have to put Green Book 1 then. But okay, they can be on the same. Okay. They can be on the same level.
Yeah. So okay. So then you're placing Roma 2nd.
No, Black Klansman 2nd.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Black Klansman 2nd.
Yeah.
Because Roma is 2nd for me.
Okay. Which then means Star Is Born and Favourite. Then.
So then A Star Is Born and The Favourite. So wait, so we just have a bunch of ties.
Yeah.
So okay. So Black Klansman and Roma tying, because it was our 2s and 4s.
Yeah.
And then The Favourite and The Star Is Born tying as our 1s and 6s.
Yeah.
And then Black Panther and Bohemian Rhapsody were the only 2 that weren't, but mirrored.
Yeah.
But yeah, Black Panther in 5th with 10. Then Vice and Green Book on the same level, tied at 6 at 11, and then rightfully so, Bohemian Rhapsody in last. So
it's weird how it turned out that way, though.
yeah,
it's like
Black
pairings.
Klansman
Okay.
and Roma, The Favorite and The Star is Born, and Vice and Green Book. We are exact opposites on. Okay, but Black Klansman and Roma, if they were to tie for Best Picture, wouldn't hate it.
No.
Wouldn't hate it because we had what was it, a Nomadland Sound of Metal tie for 2020,
Yeah.
which I also wouldn't hate.
No.
Parasite being the sole winner 2019,
Yeah.
completely fair. But yeah, Black Klansman and Roma, I think either one of those movies would have been a better Best Picture winner.
Yeah, because as I said, like a Green Book should not have won Best Picture. Like,
yeah,
I like the film. It should not have won Best Picture.
Yeah, for sure. And then I think The Favorite and A Star is Born being the next two.
Yeah,
I
that
think
seems fair.
because as far as like the Oscar bait films of the year, I think A Star is Born was definitely the best. Personally, I know you would say Green Book, but like I think A Star is Born is.
I think A Star is Born is a better made film, therefore it goes.
Yeah. So
it.
you're arguing for A Star is Born to be that would be your personal pick for Best Picture winner.
That would be my personal pick for Best Picture. Yeah.
I would prefer that over Green Book. Like I 100%. And yeah, mine is The Favorite. I feel like I should address that. It is my favorite. I love it a lot. I love all that it tackles with like class and wealth disparity, and like I think that the screenplay is genius. I think the performances are all great. Like honestly, I think all of the performances are Oscar win worthy. Like I love that movie a lot. I love Yorgos a lot. So but Black Klansman and Rome as a compromise, I don't hate.
Why not? Yeah.
I definitely don't hate that. I wouldn't be object to either of those by any means. So okay, so we talked about this before. We predicted, just going off of what we knew of our own list, and the others' taste. We predicted that Black Klansman would be our winner.
Yeah.
Which we were personally right. Wasn't expecting Roma though.
Well, I mean, if I did switch around Roma and Black Panther, it obviously would have been Black Klansman. But no, I think I'm happy with Roma. I wouldn't mind if Roma did take it. Like, it's as we said during the review section for Roma, it's probably objectively the best of these films.
Yeah. Yes. I would agree. The only reason I put The Favorite just slightly higher is just because I emotionally connected to that one more. I think I said earlier that Vice I considered would bring it up to a 5. I think even just thinking about it more in thorough conversation, it definitely isn't. I don't think I could ever in good conscience place that as a 5. But The Favorite is a movie that I think I could eventually, maybe on another rewatch, could bring it up to a 5 for me. Because I mean, as we said during the review section, it's a very dense movie that I think there's a lot to discover within. But not the best year for movies, though.
No.
Not the best year for movies.
Let's hope 2017 picks it up.
Yeah, I mean, that was the year of Darkest Hour, let's be honest.
Yeah, and The Post.
The Post, yeah. Hey, those are two Oscar bait movies that we agree aren't great. So, a lot to look forward there. One of my favorite films of all time, Lady Bird.
One of my favorite films of all time, Call Me By Your Name. So
yeah, also one of my favorites of all time. That also Get Out. I think Phantom Thread is great. What were all the nominees that year? Because
there's also Dunkirk as well,
which we'll get into.
I enjoy Dunkirk. I enjoy Three Billboards. Three Billboards. I enjoy that as well. Like I know there is controversy surrounding it. I think Martin McDonagh is a great director.
Yeah, you went on a McDonagh kick recently.
I did.
Seems like you enjoyed it. And then obviously I think the only one we haven't mentioned is The Shape of Water, Best Picture winner.
Yeah. The one we didn't mention was the actual Best Picture.
Yeah. Which we'll get into. I feel like we should just abstain from thoughts on that.
We should.
We can. What would be your early front runner? What's your personal early front runner for what you think could end up as your one before rewatch?
For ending up as my one, I'd say Call Me By Your Name probably will end up as my one.
Yeah.
I mean, that could change, but I doubt it.
Yeah. Similarly, I think Lady Bird will end up as my number one. Another one that could change, but I doubt it. I don't know if we brought up Get Out as well, but that also.
Yeah, you mentioned it, but also great.
Yeah, also a great movie. Like 2017 had some great movies. Some great like smaller movies. And a lot of the bigger ones weren't as great, but we'll get into all of it. I think it'll be a fun episode. The show survived this episode.
It did.
This is the one we were worried about. But this is a fun show. I'm happy with the results. I think we can agree we're happy with the results of Black. So I hope everybody enjoyed this. This is a long episode, but I think that was expected considering the year. So any closing things you want to say and plug?
Well, I had fun, and we'll continue to have fun as we go all the way through, all the way to back to the beginning, hopefully.
29 or 7.
Yeah.
7?
27. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this was enjoyable. I'm looking forward to continuing Oscar buzz to look out for, as well as our updated Oscars prediction, which will be upcoming very soon. I have to start working on those.
Same.
So, but yeah, in probably a week or two, we'll get those out. We're now post Cannes Film Festival. We'll be right in the middle of summer movie season, which typically doesn't supply that many Oscars contenders.
Who knows? Jurassic World Dominion. Who knows?
No. But we imagine.
Minions Rise of Gru? No, is that one not one either?
So we there's our clickbait moment. But no, we we'll plan to talk about we'll have these ones, and then the next time we'll update after that will be will probably be August pre-fall festivals, and then it will be back to being a regular monthly thing. So let's look forward to. This year's been going by fast. Very fast. It'll be award season before we know it. 3 months.
It will be. Wow. Lots to look forward to.
Absolutely. But until next time, where can everybody find you?
You can find me at the YouTube channel Project Mayhem. There may be stuff in summer. I'll see. And you can also follow me at Letterboxd at Thomas Gladstone.
I'll reduce my plugs for this show. Letterboxd, my name. Twitter, my name. And The Basement. Stay safe, everybody. Thank you for watching. And goodbye.